Up next, we'll be learning about a breakthrough solution to navigate skilled labor risk in a scarcity market with Jennifer Wilkerson of NCCER, Steve Potts of Lumber, and Daniel Groves of Construction Industry Resources. Their complete bios and slides are in the app, so join me in welcoming them to the stage.
All right, well, thank you all for being here and for joining us in this session. We are excited, Jennifer and Steve and I are excited to be with you today and to talk about something we're passionate about. Certainly, as I look around, I see a lot of folks who I recognize and know and who know me. So you know where I stand on this, you know where Jennifer stands on these topics, and we're excited to also be with Steve Potts as well. And so you're going to hear some cool stuff today. And we're going to talk about some innovative things, some things that are just being announced for the first time today here, and that are just getting started. That is really, really innovative. And so we're pretty excited about this. And so please, we're looking forward to your questions at the end of this and having some conversation about this topic. It's no secret that we have some pretty significant challenges in the construction industry. And I'm not going to relitigate all those. I'm really just, my role here is primarily just to tee up Steve and Jennifer for this topic. But I did want to at least lay the groundwork. I mean, we have some pretty significant challenges from a skilled labor perspective in the construction industry. It's not just that we're not bringing enough new folks in, although that's certainly a problem. We're not bringing in enough women and minorities. We heard that in the session just prior. But one of the other big challenges that we have is simply that we are losing them very, very quickly to attrition from retirement. If you look at this chart and those retirement percentages represented by those pie charts, the speed at which our most skilled workers are retiring is just startling. And that's just based on birth dates and the fact that you can't keep doing this type of work forever. So retirement is inevitable. And this is not all of the workforce. What you're seeing represented here is just the most highly skilled workers. Millwrights, electricians, pipe fitters, welders, instrumentation techs, and so on. So the challenge is significant. And so we have to do something about it. That's part of what we're here to talk about today, because when we look forward, if we don't change the trajectory of our workforce, we're going to have some pretty significant challenges to come. And so one of the things that you see happening all the time, and many of you have seen me use this slide before to represent this, but the reality of it is many times we are having the challenge of just bringing folks in, just filling jobs, right? And we don't do an effective enough job at figuring out, are the folks that we're bringing in and putting into these roles well trained? Are they prepared to do the work that we're asking them to do? And in many cases, they're not, and yet we're still oftentimes paying more in terms of per diems and incentives and bonuses and whatever it might be. And so the result of not knowing that is we have more and more projects that miss their objectives. And of course, this creates challenges across the board, and this is nothing new to you all. So what are we trying to do about this? Well, one of the key things that we're trying to do is promote a serious level of aggressive investment in the workforce. Rather than treating them like a commodity, which we often have done in our industry, we want them to be seen as an investable asset. We're not just filling jobs. We're trying to train these folks up because they're craft professionals. That's the way we need to treat them, and the more we treat them, the more we invest in them in that way, the more they're going to fulfill that expectation that we have for them. And so that's what we're trying to do. This isn't just a good idea. It's actually critical to project success. So many of you are going to be familiar with the CLMA, the Construction Labor Market Analyzer, and we're doing work to help owners and contractors understand what's the labor risk as you look down the road And how do I know what that's going to be and how that's going to impact my project? So you're familiar with that. That's not what we're here to talk about. But imagine if behind that information, you weren't just relying on your limited amount of data that's in your database. You're not just relying on the Bureau of Labor Statistics information. I get it. It's the largest database that's out there that's being used, but it's the best bad data available. So what can we do in order to replace that? And that's what we're here to talk about today. That's what this digital wallet does. It actually helps you understand when you're staffing a project, here's the workforce that we need, here's the workforce that we have, and now we're able to create optimal crews. These are the folks who know exactly what to do. They're trained, they're job ready, their credentials are verified, they're ready to go. That's how you get good project success. And you're going to hear a lot more about that here in just a minute. But this BuilderFax digital wallet is first and foremost, it is craft-based. It is about the craft worker. Obviously, there's benefit to the owner, there's benefit to the contractor, but it's really about what we need to do to professionalize, even more so, the craft workforce and the field leaders. So this is plugging directly into the CLMA to help in that risk planning. The CWDA, the Contractor Workforce Development Assessment, something that grew out of CURT, which is designed to help owners understand during the contractor selection process, or an EPC or GC, are the contractors we're bringing onto the project prepared to do the work? Are they filling jobs, or are they investing in their workforce? So identifying that labor risk is what the CWDA is designed to do, and it's doing very well. It can tell you when a contractor is investing in the workforce, how much they're investing, how does that translate on a per worker basis? Do they have enough journeymen? Do they have the right journeyman apprentice ratio? All those different kinds of things. But what it doesn't do until BuilderFax is actually give you behind that the kind of information that the digital wallet does, which is allowing you to see precisely how those investment dollars to the craft workers, to the field leaders, is translating into better project outcomes. So we're pretty excited about what is happening with this digital wallet and what that's going to mean for transforming our industry. So before I turn this over to Steve, the last thing I wanted to just mention here is our goal here is to invest in craft workers, to grow this workforce, to give them a reason and a desire to stay in the industry, to stay on projects. Because I hear all the time, you know, what do I need to pay in order to bring pipe fitters to this project? What do I need to pay in wages? What do I need to pay in per diem to bring electricians over to this data center job? Or what kind of incentives am I going to have to pay? And where am I going to get the workers from? But what I rarely or never maybe even hear is, what do I need to be investing in order to get these workers to really want to be part of this? And are we doing the kinds of innovative things in the projects that show these workers that we care about them? We want them to be part of the project success, not just another cost item on the P&L. And so I want to turn this over now to Steve Potts to dive a lot deeper into the digital wallet. But there's one key point I just want to make on this. Everybody in here is using some form of management system, workforce management system. Whether you're open shop, contractor, union, whatever it might be, everybody has something in place. The digital wallet does not require rip and replace. It ties in directly with whatever you're doing. It enhances it. And so we're excited about what it's doing. Steve?
Great. Thanks, Daniel. Just press the button. Great. Thanks for all attending. My name is Steve Potts. I'm the general manager of BuilderFax, which is a lumber company. Lumber is a payroll system made 100% for construction with AI. And in order for this to happen in this marketplace, you know how they say it takes a village sometimes? Well, this takes an industry. And we are a technology company, and we have enabled the concept, but I need everyone in this room to buy into it and help us do this. And you'll see that in just a little bit. Would it be possible for you to play this video? Could you hit the play, please? This is a quick introduction to BuilderFax.
In construction, your skills speak volumes, but your credentials? They open the doors. Meet BuilderFax, your digital home for construction industry qualifications. Build your credential collection as you level up. Capture your work experience, certifications, training cards, licenses, memberships, and more in your BuilderFax wallet. Never miss a renewal. Get notified when your credentials are due for renewal. Complete your training, upload your updated certificate, and stay compliant. Need to show your license on site? Show it off instantly with just a tap. Easily share via QR code or email. No more lost paperwork or last-minute scrambling. BuilderFax helps you grow your construction career by keeping your credentials organized, accessible, and ready to impress. Download for free today on iOS and Android. BuilderFax, powered by Lumber.
You know how they say a picture paints 1,000 words? Video is a little bit better, so I thought I'd play that for you to kind of set the scene.
In construction, your skill
Do that
BuilderFax,
again.
credential collection as you level up, licenses, a renewal. Get notified when your credentials are due for renewal. Complete your training.
There we go. Thank you. So as you can see here, BuilderFax is a craft-first wallet, and it's intentional that way because oftentimes the craft worker does not work for an individual contractor. They go job to job, and they take their skills, and it's almost like having their LinkedIn in their pocket, what they do. But the difference between BuilderFax and others, if we do it right, is it's got a combination of the credentials that they've earned and the work performance that they've done. If they've worked on data centers before or different types of projects, you'll be able to see that, and they'll be able to come show you that. And so it all starts with the BuilderFax technology, which is a wallet. But that's only as good as the information that we can get in there and verify. So the next thing that I'm working on is how can we do verification of those credentials. We've had BuilderFax out for a bit now, and any craft worker can download it. It's absolutely free to the craft worker. There's no fee to it. And they can upload their own credentials. But that takes us a step towards digital credentialing, but those credentials oftentimes still need to be verified at the job site because they're stated. And what we want to move to is one where the issuers are providing verified credentials and others. And I'll show you how that works on this next area. So if we think about the fact that the craft worker already has the ability to get their digital wallet and up their own game. And by the way, my job as a company is to build this ecosystem that you're going to see built here. And so I've been here meeting, if you're an issuer, and NCCER is a big one here, I meet with you and I talk about how you could use BuilderFax to provide a credentialing to that and what it does to the whole ecosystem, to the contractors, to the craft worker, to themselves, to up the game. And we start there, and you can see here that it basically gives them a career path to go on. It gives them an option that isn't a fallback option, but one that they should consider from literally high school. And as a company, we go and we do career days. We have student ambassadors. We're trying to help with the lack of craft workers that are coming into the space by giving them a path to do that. And we're thinking BuilderFax is a great way to do it. And so the first thing we need to do is start getting issuers to assist in giving their credentials in a format that is verified and trusted, so that when somebody comes along and they say, look, I've got NCCR training X, the company's fine with that. They're like, okay, cool. When does it expire? And that's all they have to worry about, is when it expires. And we'll show you in a little bit how we take all of that and build the ecosystem so the contractor has awareness, the owner can see it, the individuals can see it, the crew boss can see it, and what have you. We also need to bring it into the unions and bring the Electrical Training Alliance on board and get them to do it, so that we don't want to have a craft worker where part of their credentials are verified and part are not. We would love to have it, and as a result of that, we work really closely with the issuers at a really low or no cost opportunity to get those credentials on. And so for them, it ups the game. They're allowed to provide a digital version of it, which you're going to see a great example of that's launching today, a perfect example of it, quite honestly. And then we move to the unions. You could do your union cards. You could do all your journeymen, all the different things. And you could imagine once you have that in a situation, you'll see some of the future coming up where we could start pushing people into, did you know that if you got this one more credential, you could get this much more an hour? and we have a communication capability on crafts and skills. The next one is working with the equipment manufacturers and rental companies so that we can work with them and say, you know, United Rentals wants to make sure people are approved on the products that they're renting. And so here we go. We got verified credentials that are coming through, and everybody trusts them. And this is what we need to build here as a community, as an industry, as an ecosystem. And then finally, all this comes to the benefit of the construction companies that are hiring them. You can imagine a dashboard that has all of the craft workers on all of the projects, all of their credentials, and missing credentials, by the way, and when they're going to expire, those types of things. So you talk about lowering the risk, increasing the compliance. And the other thing is we track more than just credentials and training. We also can do work experience. We can also do education. We can do all sorts of things that craft worker decides they want to go out and do, and that becomes an opportunity for leadership development. Companies can see who's going above and beyond what we're asking of them and putting that together. So you could imagine that, I mean, whatever analogy we want to use, BuilderFacts is almost like having a heart monitor out there of all the nodes of people out there and what's going on, and it provides all sorts of opportunities, and the big ones are risk and compliance, but then it moves beyond that. And you can see here with credential management, it becomes pretty easy to do. I'll just go through these very quick for you. But you can see here that it basically allows for, you can see where it says expiring soon, expires on these dates, and all that. And all that rolls up and it becomes available to the craft workers so they know that they've got to retake something or something's coming up and they might be working on a project for 6 weeks and they know that within 3 weeks it expires, so they know that. But so does the company they're working for. And they see it on a little dashboard, basically a command and control area for their crafts. And they can push out requests. They could say, hey, we noticed that your NCCR training is going to be expiring soon after your 3-year stint. Can you make sure to retake it? And when that becomes automated, they go and retake it. Once it comes back to their wallet, it gets sent up to the contractor. And it disappears as an expiration, and it renews it for the other one. We also have the concept of a universal ID, that if anybody has the BuilderFacts equivalent on their computer at the office, it'll remember when Steve Potts comes back. He might not work for us for 3 years, but he comes back and it can do an update of all the new credentials and all the things, and you don't have to start from scratch. So the onboarding becomes a lot easier and all that. So this is the goal of the BuilderFacts product, to give you a vision of the information that is missing today. As Daniel said, you've got all sorts of aggregate data that comes, but who are these people that are showing up on our job sites? And what experience do they have? And I've been here a day now, but I do this all the time. And I talk to so many people that know that when they win that bid, they're gonna have to go from 3,000 workers to 14,000 workers to this. And in a lot of cases, they know that there's not gonna be the right amount of people trained with the right amount of stuff. And so there's gotta be a contingency of how we're gonna train these people. And then how do you know they're getting trained? Well, BuilderFacts, like I said, being a heart monitor, you got all the nodes out there and it's saying, oh, look at these credentials we're building out in the workforce. And whether you need to prove it to yourself, or you need to prove it to an owner, or you need to prove it to whoever, you've got now the ability to do that. It also opens up other opportunities for us, which is the ability to look top down at it so that I can man my whole craft worker force from a high level, and I can see at whatever level I want to do, how secure are we right now? Are all these credentials good? Are there any that are expiring? Are there some that we've asked people to take that they have not yet taken? So it gives you command and control over the skill development of everybody on your team that's on the payroll. Now, the one thing I want to make sure you all understand is that this is credential management, and it sits outside, although it's part of your HR process typically, and compliance. It sits outside. So we have Rosedin Electric has adopted BuilderFacts for all of their employees. They have Workday. Lumber is a payroll company, and they have a product called Lumber Payroll, but it's not required that you have Lumber. You could have any back-end system you want. You could even have been started doing credentialing, and we'll figure out a way to integrate with that and up the game. And so the key here is we want to be at the craft level and then integrate back to wherever it's needed to go so that we can be better at managing the workforce, better at developing them, and better at building careers for them. So you can see here that what you got is credential validation. You can look at it from a standpoint of reporting, so you can do your compliance reporting. So if you're ever asked, you know, how are we doing out there? Do we got the right people in the right places? The other thing is if you've got job disruptions, something happens weather-related or something you need to repurpose, you now know you might have hired that person for a certain skill, but you could see if they opened it up to you that they've got other skills. So you could say, hey, we can't do, you know, the concrete today, but we could do this, and it looks like you've got some ability. Do you mind moving over to this area of the job? And so you just have more command and control over the who you have out there in the field. Oh, and you become the preferred vendor. A lot of companies like working with this and like that they are recognized for things that they're doing for them. And you kind of want those people, right? You want the ones that are interested in going for it. So for the contractor value proposition, you can see here that you got that improved compliance. You also got the ability to do your resource utilization a lot more detailed than you were in the past, because you see a lot more of those folks that you have out there. You can win more bids. I was talking to some people yesterday about when you present a bid, wouldn't it be so cool if you could say, I mean, I've had people do my roof and all that. I have no idea who's working on my roof. I just know the one guy that presented it to me. And it'd be so cool if they came back and said, look at here's the people that I'm sending your job. They've done 500 roofs, they've done this, they do it in your neighborhood. It's effectively a selling tool to differentiate you from everybody else. As you're on top of it, you'll never have a compliance problem. And eventually, you should be able to, the seamless integration is key because you guys have nobody's starting from scratch here, so you've all made investments in IT and all that, and we want to make sure that we complement that and extend it and don't replace it. But finally, you're the employer of choice. You should have, I mean, if you're competing to get good people, then if you come in and say, hey, we got this workforce development capability, we'll set you up with a craft wallet, we'll, you know, push things out to you, we'll make sure that you're always pushing yourself on the degree and all that. From an industry perspective, it sets us up to fill the gap. Like I said, I'm going to the lowest level I can go to. I'm leaving here tomorrow to go to Reno to go to the ASC competition, which is all young students that are trying to get into the construction trade that go and compete against other teams. And so I'm going there to meet the contractors, and I'm literally giving it away to these community colleges and what have you, so that when those people leave, even though they're just beginning their career, they leave with a craft wallet, with a full set of credentials. I'm going to Bradley University next week to do a career day for their construction management team, construction management area in engineering. And when everybody leaves, they're going to download their BuilderFax app, and they're going to get their first credential of having come to that event. And so at a minimum, when they go start looking at being an intern or an apprentice somewhere, they could show, hey, I'm not your average guy. I actually went to a career day for construction. I really want to get into this thing. And then they could start building from there. And so that's what we're trying to do here, is fill that gap. Elevating the industry standards. NCCR does some of the best training ever, but having that person earn, that craft worker earn that certificate and then owning it, that's the key. They own it. And when they show up at a job, they can literally share it with that company and do everything so that it's easier for the contractor to approve it, it's easier for the craft worker to present it. At Rosedin, we literally have it where it does facial recognition at the job site and make sure that you're you, and you can come on there and that you've got the ability to run that equipment or go into that ditch if that's where you're doing it. And it automates a lot of the things that could slip underneath the cracks. You got the data decisions we talked about. You've got a lot more command and control. But the key here is I got to build a connected ecosystem. And you're going to see the first big example of it today, which is a big announcement for us. But I could use everybody's help here. Introduce me to issuers, introduce me to anybody, and your dashboard will look so much better at the end. So things we're talking about that come today and will be happening in the future. It also provides for two-way communication. And this seems to be a big thing for a lot of our contractors that use the product. So now that we've got this iPhone smart app, it's got all their credentials, they're in it making sure that they can show up at the job site. You can also not only send credentials up and down, but your job managers, your foremans, whatever, can also communicate with the team. If they need to repurpose them, or they need to ask them, are you guys, I noticed that you've got an ability to drive this equipment, would you mind doing that tomorrow? We can't use you for this. It's a two-way communication capability for the company. And some people like just that piece of it, and the credentials are not as important to them because communication has been a problem for them. So we, just by nature of that, we provide that. You can see here we're doing some things like polling and stuff. Since we got the communication, we could ask them, you know, should we do this? Should we do that? Would you guys like to go do more training? And then you can kind of pull your team. So again, it's bringing the job site into the back office, and it's connecting the two, as opposed to them, you know, everything being here and everything being there, and never the two shall meet. And we're the exact opposite of that. The next thing we're looking at, and some of our customers are pushing to this, is gamification. If you want to, as Daniel said, we got to upskill these folks. Maybe we put it into a format where they get rewarded. Obviously, they're going to get more pay by doing it, but if we need them to go a little quicker, we need them to go a little above and beyond, we can put things in place with you that allow them to be a little bit more aggressive. And again, that also becomes a leadership opportunity. You can see who's taking advantage of that, who really wants to rise above, because the fact that we have less people coming into the space means we have less leaders that we can grab. And so we want to up the whole game there. So what I want to do now is give you the perfect example of how this should work and what I'm building here to make this work. So at the benefit of all of you that hire these folks. And so I want to introduce a good use example of NCCER, of Jennifer, of how they're utilizing BuilderFax to not only differentiate themselves in the market, but give all of their craft workers a leg up as they go into their next job. Cool. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Let me move forward a little bit here. Surprise. Thank you. So with NCCR, for those of you that are familiar with us, the National Center for Construction Education and Research, we develop training and assessments, and we're a credentialing body. And so up here, I just put some information. We've issued over 30 million credentials through the years. We started in '96. This is our 30th year anniversary. And we have about 330,000 learners in our system annually. And we're in over 5,700, I think it's a little more than that now, locations, because we've had some more high schools come on recently. But one of the things that's so interesting about this, how we got involved with this, is that anybody that uses our system knows that the individuals get this NCCR identification number, and if they come to you as an employer or they go to another training program, they give that number, someone goes to the NCCR website, types it in, and they pull up their transcripts. We're very proud of the transcripts. It's fabulous, but it's always been a little bit like there's an obstacle there, trying to get to what does this person have, and the people that are earning them are not always at computers. That's not what they do. They work with their hands. They want to do things easily. So NCCR actually started pursuing a way to do digital wallets. We started talking about it, ashamed to say this, but probably like 10 years ago, what are we going to do? And we started trying different things, and we went with Credly. And a lot of you may be very familiar with Credly. They have an incredible badging system. They do it for higher ed. This is fantastic. The problem is the individuals have to go online, have to go into this site, they have to register their email, They have to get validation through their email, and our problem with that is that's not built for industry. I get it for higher ed, and I'm fine with it, and it's wonderful, but we tried it. We did it for 3 years, and the biggest stumbling block was what people in the field use are their phones. And what I know is my phone number. And I can tell you, and you guys that have been here for a long time know, I talk about my husband all the time because he was a welder. He just retired last year. And if you asked him to go in and find his emails on his phone, he would be, just send it to my number, just text it to me. So what we wanted to do was find some way to empower craft professionals that they are in charge of their credentials. They can share them with whoever they want, whenever they want, and we needed to make it as easy as possible. So when I got contacted by the gentleman that first started BuilderFacts, and he's like, hey, listen, we've created this. It's all through multi-factor verification on their phone. It just sends them a code. They can actually just, I got super interested. I was like, this is pretty cool. Talk to me some more, because we have different companies that have come to us through the years. We're going to build NCCR this digital wallet. It was very important to us that it was easily accessible, and it was not going to charge the craft professionals anything, and they could share it on their social media, and they could share it via text, and they could share it however they wanted to. We needed it to be like that on the phone. And so Lumber acquired BuilderFacts as we were talking to them, and then Lumber brought all these other things, these enhancements, two-way communications, and guess what? We can do reminders. Hey, your crane cert's running out in 90 days, 60 days, 30 days. Fantastic for our pipeline industry. Fantastic that we're giving them notifications. What I liked even more, and Steve mentioned this a little bit, is the engagement factor. I have been looking, for those of you that know, old-time teacher, I want something that's going to engage young people. They actually have things that pop up. Congratulations, you finished level 1. Or you need 2 more modules and you can get to level 2. Great job. Like, there's things that are actually engaging, and we have a generation, multiple generations now, that are gamers. And I want to know that I'm leveling up, and I want to get to that next level, and I want to compete a little bit, and I wanted something to engage them. And that's what BuilderFacts has really brought. There are newer pictures now because we're so excited. It came out today. Literally, I cannot believe that we're here talking about it on the day. Inside NCCR, we're so excited because we've been running this campaign, just telling instructors and individuals, make sure we have your right mobile number. And I was letting the guys know this morning that we had 17,000 people come in and check their mobile numbers when we started running this campaign and updating. Probably gave us the wrong numbers, obviously, because now all of a sudden we have new phone numbers in our system. But what I'm excited about is, it's always been about the learner to me. It's about that craft pro. We are professionals. I want them to have the power of these credentials. And I think what Lumber has done is kind of take that to the next level by offering all this ability for contractors to now manage their credentials. Right now, NCCR, for years, we've done API with large companies, and they're bringing things into their system. But this is true credential management when you know people, if they do have something that's expiring, it's not their craft credential, it's crane, it's pipeline, it's rigger, it's signal person, whatever that might be, and it's notifying them automatically. I was shocked. I was like, do we have to put this in there? They were like, no, the system tracks it for them. They'll just be notified. Just tell us what you want it to say. That's fantastic. What about, up in the leaderboard there? Can we just put whatever we want? Notifications? Yeah, you can just put whatever you want. So I would just say, I think this is a huge step in the right direction for our industry. I think that we need to embrace technology. I think technology's here. It took us a long time, even at NCCR, but I'm excited to be on board for this. And like I said, we looked at other systems, but what I love about Lumber and the BuilderFacts is they're construction industry focused. You do not have to, if someone has an NCCR number and they go to look at there, it says, would you like to join BuilderFacts and put them on your phone? And you say yes, you don't build another profile. You don't do anything else. You accept a verification code and you download the app, and that's it. It brings every bit of information over that's already in the NCCR system. That's a game changer, because people do not want to build multiple profiles. Every time you go to a new app, I've got to do another profile thing. I've got to put in my information. You don't have to do that in this app. And so we're excited. I hope you guys check it out. I know we're putting things all over social media right now and been talking about it all morning, and we think it'll be great for all of our learners. We're really getting down to the schools and making sure that they know at the high school level, get your students to start using this. Make sure they just accept it and say it's okay for the information. They don't ever have to accept a new credential. NCCR is hooked up with BuilderFax where it just pushes. Every time someone gets a new credential, it pushes it over to BuilderFax, and it's already there. So that's my comments on BuilderFax and why I'm so excited. As you guys that know me, I do get overly excited about things like this, but I think it really is a game changer for our craft professionals.
All right, great. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jennifer. We're going to open this up for questions. We'd love to hear your input, hear your questions. I would just add one quick thing. So all the bells and whistles we heard about, I just want to remind you one more time as we bring this back. This is about the craft worker, as Jennifer was saying right there. I'll just give you a quick anecdote. We're working with one of the major hyperscalers on a data center project. We're actually tying this in with their badging system, so how you get through the gate and all that, which is linked to their equipment. If a craft worker tries to operate a piece of equipment, they don't have the training or verified credentials for operating, it won't let the equipment start. But that's not the end, that's just a no. A no without a yes is not particularly helpful. So the next thing it does, not instantaneously, they're on the job, but at the appropriate time it says, hey, we noticed you tried to do this or that. Would you like to learn to do that? And if you do, here's exactly how you can do that, and here's how that would benefit your career and help you. So again, it's about the craft worker. We're trying to help them move forward, professionalize them. So we're going to open this up to questions, and I think there are mics. There's at least one, and happy to take them.
Love this tool, love this concept, everything you've covered. I do have a question because we tried something similar, and I guess the differentiator for knowing exactly the person that is coming to your site becomes sometimes PII, becomes a social security number or something that you have security concerns around. So two-part question. One, how do you protect PII? And then two, which is another issue we've encountered, is how does the tool handle, or does the tool handle foreign nationals who have a legal work permit but not a social security number?
Testing. Oh, there we go. It doesn't require the social security number. It's not a payroll system. We do have a payroll system that requires a social security number and I-9 and all that stuff. BuilderFax is owned by the craft worker. They decide what they want to put in there. It doesn't even require their phone number. It's their email and their login. And whatever NCCER needs, which I think is a cell phone number, right? Or some sort of, oh, no, your number, your unique number. Yeah. So PII has never been an issue with BuilderFax. It sits outside of the payroll system. Now, it can have a universal number. So if you happen to have
John Smith, how do I know which John Smith is coming to my site?
yeah, so when that person comes on board, you onboard them with the BuilderFax, and you would see that at your site, and then you would assign a unique code to one versus the other. Yeah. So we don't compete with HR, we integrate with. Any other questions? That's a good question, by the way.
Just speak loud.
Sure.
I'm good at it. So this might be the elephant in the room question. Is this my LinkedIn where I put all my people on LinkedIn and now I have to try to keep them?
No, it's not. It's only available if I make it available. And there's no big site where you could see everybody on BuilderFax. That doesn't happen. The only time you'll see more than one BuilderFax at a time is at a construction company where they've shared it with you as part of getting the job. And you have a BuilderFax dashboard that I kind of referenced really quickly that shows all the credentials. Now, they could decide, they might have 15 credentials on there, they're only going to share 5 of them on this particular project. So it's owned by the craft worker. And you could say, I need all of them to understand it, and it's an agreement that the craft worker agrees to. But they're not compelled to have to do anything other than just provide the craft that they're getting hired for.
That was something that was really important to us because NCCR has always promised that we would not let anyone mine our data. So one of our questions when we first started talking to them, we were like, who is going to see this data? Like, this is protected because when someone works with NCCR, an individual, we tell them we will not share your information with anyone except for your employer that's providing you the training or that school, and then it's up to you. So that was absolutely one of our questions, to make sure that if you have it set up for your employees, the only people you can see are your employees that have opted in to participate, which is why with NCCR, even when someone starts it, we're not going to automatically put them in the system. We say, would you like to have your credentials on your mobile phone? And if they say yes, then we take care of the rest and say, and once you opt in and you say yes, and we verify that phone number, it's immediate. Like, here's the app, you download it, it's in your hands. But it is a really important question to make sure it cannot be mined. I mean, you don't want people jumping, you don't want someone coming and mining it.
Yeah, we're very careful about poaching the concept.
So that makes me ask if I use my data wallet and I go work for company A and then I leave and I go to company B, is there a way for me to remove them access?
Yeah, in our dashboard that we provide to the contractor, they have the ability to push credentials down. And very similar to NCCER, they are the validator of that credential. Now, if it's a company like Rosedin training class and they don't want you to take that over to Cupertino, they can then pull it back. Now, that doesn't mean that employee does not have that skill. They can go in and say, I was trained at Rosedin. I mean, obviously they could do that, but they won't have the similarity of the NCCR proof statement.
Yeah, and NCCR credentials will still be there. So we are working directly with BuilderFax. It's owned by them. So always our credentials are portable and it goes with wherever the craft professional goes. It's just that specific training that maybe the employer has some very, they have IP on it and they have some training in it. They don't want that to be shown to other contractors. So again, other questions. We wanted to make sure our credentials would go with the individual.
So internal training, they manage it.
Thank you, Daniel, Steve, Jennifer. We're out of time. So let's give them a round of applause.